Prince Andrew's downfall came because of his close links and ties to Jeffrey Epstein. That, and also because of what allegedly he did, according to Virginia Roberts. Then why is the press and the palace refusing to look or comment or report on Meghan Markle's links to the same individual?
Meghan Markle's legal team have been in contact with the Daily Mail after it republished allegations made in Andrew Lowney's new book entitled...
Wasn't there some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time? There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s. Wow.
Where he describes a 2018 call from a woman claiming to possess a 4-year-old tape of a Meghan who is about to marry a prince.
Andrew traveled to the US Virgin Islands with Gilfrey or met up with her there at all or before she reached the restricted age of consent of 18 years.
True, did Meghan Markle meet Prince Andrew before Harry via Ghislaine Maxwell? This was on Geo.tv.
This woman had been trafficked by Epstein in her past. Epstein setting Prince Andrew up with a second woman.
Meghan Markle gets slammed as she gets downgraded along with Prince Andrew? Yikes. It's gotten so bad that apparently Meghan Markle is ready to move forward with Princess Kate.
King Charles and Prince William still believe Meghan Markle is a bigger threat to the royal family than Prince Andrew. A position backed up by a bombshell outspoken poll. I'll reveal the results in just one moment.
Disgraced Prince Andrew. He will now be known.
Just Andrew.
Well, just Andrew. Look, I mean, there are some really, really big questions here to ask about the future of the royal family, where it sits. I mean, the past couple of months could not have been worse PR for the royals.
Fills me with concern for her hapless husband Harry. If the petulant prince hated his past role as the royal spare, what must he feel about his current role as Meghan's spare?
This isn't just another royal rumor. This is the kind of secret that shatters families, rewrites timelines, and explains why the palace has been sweating in silence for years. January 2026 didn't just arrive quietly, it slammed into the monarchy like a wrecking ball. The royal family was already bruised, already exhausted from the most scandal-soaked year in decades. And just when everyone thought the chaos had peaked, a new name detonated the calm. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, stripped, disgraced, exiled, and suddenly, dangerously linked to Meghan Markle in ways the palace never wanted discussed. This isn't about coincidence. This is about overlapping worlds that were deliberately erased. Whispers now resurfacing claim Meghan and Andrew crossed paths long before Harry ever entered the picture, through elite social circles, quiet introductions, powerful networks that don't leave paper trails. Circles Andrew moved in freely. Circles Meghan allegedly navigated with ease. And this is where panic sets in. Behind closed doors, Charles and Catherine aren't reacting like people hearing rumors for the first time. They're reacting like people who already know where this leads. Damage control, tight lips. Because if Andrew really knew Meghan before the wedding, then the fairy tale wasn't just rushed, it was built on omissions.
They should be jumping all over. Is it because it's too close to home, or they're not ready yet to oust Meghan Markle? Well, we're going to explore it here, and I'm going to show you, and we're going to talk about why they are keeping quiet about this. Is the palace behind this cover-up? Michelle Obama also. Why is she blaming white people's style for her being oppressed? Would this woman shut up? Why can't she just be proud to be black and wear her afro?
Harry, according to those closest to the situation, may be the last person catching on. The depth of this doesn't just adjust the narrative, it obliterates it. October 2025 changed everything. Andrew lost his titles, his home, his status, his shield. King Charles didn't hesitate. Royal Lodge gone, privileges revoked, prince erased. Overnight, he became just Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. And when someone loses everything, secrets stop being leverage, they become currency. Sources whisper that Andrew knows things about Meghan that stretch years back. Long before Harry, long before palace briefings, long before engagement photos. Details about the circles she moved through, the doors she accessed, the same rarefied rooms Andrew himself occupied.
Imagine, because Prince Andrew just set it all up, right? I don't even want to call him Prince anymore. Andrew. Why'd you wreck my name, dude? Look, I've never liked this guy. This guy always seemed like a skeevy creep. From that interview, like you could just see on him, this guy was a rich, privileged wackadoodle, in my opinion.
Here's where the palace grows visibly uneasy. October 2016. Harry and Meghan's relationship was exposed to the press. Not by accident, not by paparazzi, but by someone inside Andrew's own household. Tina Brown confirmed it. A House of York servant tipped off the tabloids. That raises a chilling question. Why Andrew's people? Why then? Why force the story out? Leaks don't happen without motive, especially not from that corner of the palace.
We have seen that the artist formerly known as Andrew is not necessarily truthful. So why would anybody trust him sitting down and testifying before the American government? Why is this a fixation for anyone when we've seen that he's capable of dishonesty?
Unless Andrew already knew something about Meghan. Unless that leak wasn't betrayal, but a warning. Because timelines matter. Meghan was allegedly attending elite yacht parties and high-end networking events years before she met Harry. At the same time, Andrew was deeply embedded in those same luxury social ecosystems through Jeffrey Epstein and billionaire circles. These weren't parallel worlds. They overlapped. And then there's the moment that never sat right. Harry's own story. The first introduction. Meghan allegedly mistook Prince Andrew for a servant. Think about that. Meghan was already close friends with Princess Eugenie, Andrew's daughter, before meeting Harry. Confirmed. So how does someone know the daughter well but fail to recognize the father? It doesn't add up.
Prince Andrew. And they're still known Duchess of Sussex, as she's so fond of ordering people to report to her. This is interesting because I don't understand why they had to announce her when she walked in. It's the other way around. If they announce lesser people to the royal, they don't announce the royal to lesser people. And I say lesser people because that's how they see it, okay? You always announce the lower rank to the higher rank people, and Meghan Markle clearly considers herself super ranked above anybody else.
Royal biographers noticed it immediately. You don't build a friendship with Eugenie without knowing who her father is, especially not in royal circles. So why pretend not to recognize him? Because admitting recognition opens doors you don't want opened, questions you can't control. Where did you meet? When? Who introduced you? What events were shared? Sources say Andrew's reaction to that servant comment was icy. And insiders believe that awkward moment may explain why Andrew's household moved to expose the relationship shortly after. Silence broke. Control lost.
If he was in his shoes, he would be responding. And bearing in mind, of course, Keir Starmer has a legal background as well, as we know. And in this case, he feels Andrew should quietly step forward, although he doesn't say it by naming him. I think by implication he is suggesting it may be best if he did. But unfortunately for Keir Starmer, I think like a lot of people who disagree with him, Andrew definitely probably will disagree with him on this issue.
Then come the mystery years, the gaps. The time before Suits, when Meghan's movements become harder to trace. Photos later surfaced online, women on yachts with Prince Andrew at elite events. When Meghan's name was attached, the response was immediate and coordinated. Denials, dismissals, fact checks, shutdowns. If there was nothing there, why the rush? Stories don't get buried that fast unless someone's terrified of digging. Even if those photos weren't Meghan, the implications were explosive. Author Kirby Sommers documented Meghan's presence in elite yacht scenes and luxury networking environments. Meghan photographed with wealthy men. Andrew hosting gatherings with Epstein and billionaires. Those worlds didn't just brush past each other, they merged. So the questions linger. Did Meghan and Andrew meet at one of those events? Did they share mutual connections who later placed Meghan in Harry's orbit? Because those are the exact questions the palace never once publicly asked. King Charles's behavior around Andrew has only fueled suspicion. Publicly ruthless, privately cautious. Titles stripped, yet behind closed doors, phone calls continue. Staff access quietly restored. Pressure softened. Why protect the man you publicly destroyed? Because Andrew doesn't just hold Epstein's secrets, he holds royal ones. What was known, when it was known, and what concerns were raised about Meghan's background. Charles reportedly compared Meghan to Sarah Ferguson from the very beginning, an outsider welcomed warmly before chaos followed. But sources say it wasn't just pattern recognition, it was foreknowledge. Warnings Harry may have ignored. And then there's Catherine, calm, silent, unmovable in public. but privately deeply uneasy, not just about Epstein, about the overlapping elite circles. Catherine reportedly believes Harry deserves the full truth. December 2025 only intensified everything. New Epstein files surfaced. Buried references showed how powerful the Sussex names were in media coverage. One article linking Harry's comments to Andrew's Epstein ties generated $4 million in publicity value. The obsession was real, and then the detail no one explains away. In 2021, Virginia Giuffre's lawyer stated he wanted to depose Meghan, not as an accused party, but because he believed she might know something about Andrew's activities and associations. Let that sink in. A legal professional believed Meghan had knowledge relevant to Andrew's world. That statement remains on record. The deposition never happened, the case settled. But the implication never disappeared, because admitting any of this publicly would mean admitting the palace failed to fully vet Meghan's elite connections, and that truth would devastate Harry. What makes this situation truly dangerous isn't gossip, it's leverage. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is a man with nothing left to protect. No titles, no public favor, no future role, and that makes him the most unpredictable person in the entire royal equation. When someone has already been burned to the ground, they don't fear fire anymore. They talk. And that's exactly what has the palace rattled, because Andrew knows the difference between coincidence and connection. He knows who moved through which rooms, who attended which events, and who was quietly present long before press narratives were written. He remembers faces. He remembers introductions. And more importantly, he remembers who pretended not to remember him. The palace silence isn't confusion, it's containment. Behind the scenes, sources say discussions aren't about if Andrew might talk, but how to stop him. That's why Charles's approach feels contradictory. Public punishment paired with private appeasement, stripped in daylight, soothed in shadow. Because Andrew speaking freely wouldn't just embarrass Meghan, it would expose how thin the palace's vetting process really was. And that's the unspoken fear. From the moment Meghan entered royal life, investigations began. Not casual background checks, deep dives, social networks, associations, quiet inquiries into elite connections. And what those investigations reportedly uncovered wasn't criminal, but it was complicated. Enough overlap to raise internal alarms, enough shared environments to make senior royals uneasy. But here's the problem. By the time those concerns crystallized, Harry was already emotionally locked in. Stopping the relationship would have required explanations the palace wasn't prepared to give. Explanations that would have forced them to admit they didn't know everything when the relationship began, and that they may have underestimated how deeply Meghan had already navigated elite social worlds connected to Andrew's. So they chose the only path left: manage the risk. They moved forward with the wedding while quietly reinforcing boundaries, monitoring Andrew, watching Meghan, limiting interactions, and hoping time would bury the overlaps. It didn't. Andrew's downfall reopened every sealed file. Now look at Meghan's behavior. She's outspoken on injustice, vocal on accountability, quick to issue statements on issues that touch her brand. But when Andrew lost his titles, silence. When Epstein files resurfaced Andrew's name, silence. When discussions reignited around elite social networks, silence. That silence is strategic, because Meghan knows exactly what questions resurface if Andrew starts naming circles instead of individuals, timelines instead of accusations, rooms instead of photos. She knows this isn't about proving guilt, it's about revealing proximity. And proximity is enough to change public perception forever. Sources say Meghan is deeply anxious behind the scenes, not about tabloids, about Andrew, because Andrew can't be threatened. He can't be negotiated with the usual tools. He's already been discarded, and discarded people don't protect systems that abandon them. What makes it worse is Sarah Ferguson's position. Reports suggest Fergie reached out to Meghan after Andrew's downfall, hoping for support, perhaps even protection. That outreach reportedly went nowhere, and that rejection only deepened Andrew's resentment. To Andrew, the hypocrisy is unbearable. He believes he's being sacrificed while others who move through the same elite environments walk free, untouched, protected by silence. And resentment fuels revelations. Now turn to Harry. Harry believes his story is complete. He believes the relationship was leaked out of jealousy. He believes palace resistance was rooted in bias. He believes his uncle's disgrace is separate from his wife's past. But those beliefs rely on missing information. Harry doesn't know that Andrew's household leaked his relationship. He doesn't know that lawyers once considered questioning Meghan about Andrew's world. He doesn't know that palace investigations uncovered uncomfortable overlaps that were never shared with him in full, because telling Harry would have shattered his trust instantly. instantly. So instead, the truth was diluted, simplified, framed as media hostility and royal coldness. And Harry built his entire narrative on that framing. That's why William stays distant, not out of cruelty, but caution. William knows there are truths Harry isn't ready to process, and Catherine understands that reopening those wounds now would only detonate the family beyond repair. That's also why Charles walks such a tightrope. He's trying to keep Andrew quiet without empowering him, trying to protect Harry without lying outright, trying to preserve the monarchy while knowing some truths can never be spoken aloud. Because if Andrew ever publicly confirms that Meghan moved through connected elite circles before Harry, even without accusations, the implications are devastating. It would mean the palace knew more than they admitted. It would mean Harry wasn't fully informed. It would mean the fairy tale was never as spontaneous as claimed. And most dangerous of all, it would raise the question no institution once asked: who else was quietly vetted and quietly allowed through? That's why Catherine pushes for strict boundaries. No access, no privileges, no platforms. Because every inch Andrew gains is another opportunity for him to talk. William sides with her instinct, even if he understands his father's fear. He knows that Andrew speaking wouldn't just damage Meghan, it would destabilize public trust in the monarchy itself. And Andrew knows all of this. That's his power. He doesn't need photos. He doesn't need documents. He only needs to confirm that the palace's silence wasn't accidental, it was intentional. The final truth is brutal. Even if Meghan and Andrew simply crossed paths socially years before Harry, the palace can never acknowledge it. Because acknowledgement would confirm failure. Failure to anticipate risk. Failure to fully inform a prince. Failure to control a narrative that later exploded. So instead, the strategy is delay, silence, fragmented responses. Hope Andrew stays quiet long enough for the public to lose interest. But interest hasn't faded, because the real story isn't about yachts or photos or rumors. It's about what happens when one man loses everything and realizes the people who escaped consequences did so because others covered for them. And Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has nothing left to lose. That's why Harry remained speechless. Not because the truth doesn't exist, but because the people who know it never told him. People who know it never told him. People who know it never told him. People who know it.